The F-15C versus 7 MiG-29's. Could it actually happen? Well, stay to the end of the video. I'll tell you what I think about that. This is going to be a scenario of the US fighting North Korea. Man. Could be a brutal one, but at the end of the day, there could be a lone F-15C that's out there, alone and unafraid, as we like to say. I flew the F-15E, so I have a special place in my heart for anything that involves F-15s, and this one's gonna be really awesome. So the air-to-air setup is essentially the same in the E as it is in the C. I'll say the E models are a little more advanced. The C model is a little more pilotage, I would say, involved because there's not as much automation. The C model is a formidable jet, as you probably know, and stay the end of this video because I'll tell you an experience of dogfighting the F-15C, what I saw, but for now let's dive into this growling Sidewinder video and see if this F-15 can clean up versus 7 MiGs. Here we go. Whew. Okay guys, so this is like a North Korean scenario where you're gonna see some Russian variant of fighters, and MiG-29 probably gonna be most of those fighters. There's also some MiG-21s, MiG-23s involved in there, but most likely their most formidable enemy, if they can get these jets airborne, is gonna be the MiG-29. So here we are inside the cockpit of the F-15C, and I'm just gonna pause that. Look at that beautiful cockpit. F-15, where have you been all my life? These jets are just super user-friendly, and everything to me was purpose-built in the F-15. Now, I don't have any time in the C model, I've got time in the E model, and what I would just feel inside that thing was like, wow, this thing has some room, has some space. Unlike the F-16, F-16, I love you, don't worry. But at the end of the day, the F-15C just has a flow. There's space for things. The flow is just really nice. Now the C model is not as advanced as the E, as I let you know before, but at the end of the day, this thing is built, guys. It is purpose built for air to air. Now you're probably looking at the heads-up display. Not incredibly massive, but hey, nobody's perfect. Let's continue. So we're gonna go into this engagement, guys, with the mindset of targeting multiple aircraft at once. Here we are looking at the radar scope. It's on an 80 scope, and this is beautiful. This is a picture that you would most likely appreciate seeing. So on the left side of the radar, you can see there's the number 2 at the bottom of the bottom circle, and then above that, the top circle says 44. So that radar is scanning from 2,000 feet to 44,000 feet, which is great radar mech. We would always say radar mech is the difference between a decent fighter pilot and a great fighter pilot, because ultimately, guys, what you're doing with this C model is you're just getting a massive radar, could be an ASA, could be some legacy type radar, up to altitude. And when it comes to a fighter jet, that's where you make your money. So what we're gonna see here, and there's this thing called a TDC, which you press in, TDC. I don't know what that stands for, but basically it's this circular knob, you press it in, and that helps you lock up different contacts. And you go into what's called TWIS, which is track while scan, so you can get multiple contacts locked up if they're within a certain volume of airspace, and launch a few missiles their way and say, good day, sir, and good night. The end of the day, TWIS is a very formidable enemy for anyone to face because it has the ability to target multiple contacts at once. Let's continue and let's see how the radar mech goes, and we'll see who has first launch opportunity. Spoiler alert, it's gonna be the F-15. Here we go. Nice, so you can see the cursors moving there, and the search volume, all the MiGs happen to be inside that search volume, which most likely they're going to be close because they are not used to operating their aircraft. They're going to want to stay close within their wingmen, within a visual range of their wingmen. So it's going to be hard for them to kind of be in a more tactical formation, which you would see Western fighters definitely be in, where you have a mile plus between your flight mates just to make it a little sportier for who's ever trying to shoot you down. So right now we're waiting patiently. You can see the radar sitting there cooking, painting that entire picture. Ideally you would have an AWACS, so you'd have someone up there saying, picture one group, 7 contacts, leader, bra, 250 for 18,000 feet, or whatever the case may be. BRA stands for bearing, range, and altitude. Get your mind out of the gutter. So here we go, we're rolling in. We've got our bearing, range, and altitude to the bandits, and they're getting down to the bottom half of the scope on the radar. Now we got our first Fox 3. Second, come on, let's get a couple more. 3, 4. When I fire 4 AMRAAMs like that, you gotta make it personal. You gotta be like, these are the 4 dudes who dated my sister and didn't treat her right. You're gone. So with those 4 AMRAAMs headed down range, the one critique I would give this pilot is get your radar scope down 1 range. It's on an 80 scope now, but the contacts are all on the bottom half of that scope. So go ahead, range down so you can see all the contacts without it being kind of bunched up there towards the bottom. And that's just something as a fighter pilot I would typically forget because you're in the heat of the moment. Just shot out 4 Fox 3s. Let's see how it keeps going. So there you go, guys. There is the radar scope, a little closer up of a view there. And again, I would want that to be ranged down to a 40 scope so that I can see if the bandits are maneuvering, and if it's all bunched there towards the bottom, it's just harder to depict that. All right, so here is the stadium view, if you will. Let's see these AMRAAMs light off. Should be 4 of them. Don't you ever treat my sister poorly. That's what I'd be saying as I'm firing these things off. Gotta make it personal, man. All right, so now we're gonna do some sort of maneuvering, most likely so that you stay outside of the weapons engagement zone for those MiG-29s. And it actually looks like he's getting pretty tight in there. A little bit too close for comfort is what I would say. And you can see missiles coming off the other jets there that are in the cons. Okay, there's his 5th Fox 3. I like it, patience is always good. And you can see weapons being fired by all of these MiGs now. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots from them coming at him. Okay, there's his 6th Fox 3 coming off the rail. So that's real nice, getting 6 of those off. The one thing I would say is you're not gonna fire like that inverted, most likely. Just doesn't give the missile its best chance. And I would always feel like, hey, these things are tested to be fired upside down, but I would rather fire them with the most advantageous flight profile possible. So above the Mach, potentially pointed uphill a little bit, not inverted, but hey, style points for the inverted shot, man, nice. So now you can see these AMRAAMs all kind of raining down on these MiG-29s. It's just gonna be a bad day for those MiG-29s. Obviously, there's gonna be some hits coming up here. Boom! Good night, my friend. Don't you ever treat my sister poorly. That's what you gotta say when you do that. Or brother. There we go, yep, second one's hitting. Man, so the ability to track while scanned and fire off AMRAAMs for the F-15C is just a thing of beauty, if I don't say so myself. This guy's gonna have a bad day. I like his try though. He's in full afterburner trying to get away. Always keep fighting to the very last minute, but you're not gonna be able to outrun an AMRAAM, bro. Just not gonna happen. All right, so we got a good shoot, or we got a good ejection. Let's see if he gets a shoot. Couldn't tell on that one. At the end of the day, you want these guys to come up and fly again so you can shoot them down again, you know? It's like knights jousting. You're like, all right, hey, I knocked you off your horse, man. Come back up here, I'll do it again all day long. Gotta talk a little bit of trash, as long as you're winning. If you're not winning, you might wanna throttle it back a little bit. All right, there we go. We got pretty much every one of these MiGs down on what we call the first leaf. When you first go into an engagement, you've got the first leaf, and then you turn, you let the other missiles time out that were shot at you, then you turn back in for the second leaf. So now we've got the second leaf, and when you turn back in with 1 bandit remaining, it's a beautiful feeling. The AWACS right now would be telling this pilot, hey, new picture, single contact, and with a BRA, a bearing, range, and altitude. And there we go. Obviously, he just shot that Fox 3, and now he's going into what's called a notch, potentially an exit here coming up. And man, got some flares coming out of the back. Always a good idea when you're going up against any type of Soviet threat. Some of them You know, you don't know if it's going to be a radar missile or some type of heat-seeking missile. So especially when you're in close, I mean, if you're at range, you know that's going to be most likely, not all the time, a radar missile. But when you're in tight like this, there we go, another slightly inverted shot. I mean, you know, why not? I'm just saying I wouldn't do it because, yeah, man, not every missile is guaranteed to come off the rail. You can have a hung missile. So for me, I would constantly be like, all right, this thing is in a perfect profile to not have a hung missile because, yeah, I know what you're thinking out there. Hung missile, not a good day. And you're right, not a good day. So now we got to turn in, coming back on. So that's a really nice move there. So you get that Fox 3 off the rail, put yourself in a position where you can go out, but then you're looking back over your shoulder. You see a missile shot at you. Get some flares out there just for mom and dad. Make sure mom and dad see ya. So get the flares out there and then turn back in for potentially some follow on dogfighting versus the guy who treated your sister poorly. It's gonna be a bad day for him. So there's that dogfight, guys. The C model took out those 29s, and this was a part of the story here. Now some F-18s are coming in and taking out a radar site as essentially a little slap on the wrist to North Korea saying, stop it, stop, you don't want to test us. So looks like a nice engagement, and we're gonna go into a little bit of a debrief here. We'll do a few minutes of that. Here we go. So here we go, guys. You got the F-15C in blue. Again, a single F-15C. I mean, imagine if you had 4 of these up there, but this is a really nice debrief. This looks, you know, sort of like what you would actually see at like a red flag or something like that. So really nice here. You've got the different ranges that the aircraft are coming at you to, and obviously first launch opportunity is gonna come from the C model. I just love seeing this. It's just like wham, 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 wham. Not gonna be a good day, my friend. And it's just a good feeling when your radar has got all these different contacts locked up. And again, they're probably gonna be close. They're gonna be tight because they're not used to flying their jets. They're not used to being at a tactical formation where they can keep track of each other. So there you go, guys. There is that C model just doing work. I mean, just taking it to the bank, baby. Slaying 7 MiG-29s. Now, I'm a man of my word. You stay to the end, I will tell you my last dogfight with an F-15C. Keep in mind, I was in an E model, which your first launch opportunities are going to be exactly the same, depending on some of the variants of the F-15s. However, when we went to the merge, I had one chance. One chance, that's all I had, because the F-15E has conformal fuel tanks, so it bleeds energy really quick. She's a big girl. I love her, but you know, she's a big girl. So you have basically one shot to do like an oblique maneuver, turn and point. But C model was smart. They had definitely fought against E models before. So essentially he went into the vertical and then kept pulling back, rolled out and went into the vertical again. And so by the time I was able to get my nose around, he was already going up into the vertical to a place where I couldn't put my nose. Then he went up again. And then he might have rolled in behind me, and I got a great view of what a guns picture looks like from an F-15C. What? Think I never lost a dogfight? Nobody's perfect. Everybody's a critic. But ultimately, guys, F-15C, such a formidable aircraft. Let me know what you think of the F-15C, and if there's any other subjects you would like me to chat about. Before you go, if you would, just dominate that like button, maybe even subscribe. Every time you dominate the like button and subscribe, an F-15C somewhere shoots down 7 MiG-29s or something like that. Thanks for being here, guys. Most of all, hope you have a great day.